Did scientists finally discover Atlantis? Well, sort of. Near Australia, there was once an entire continent that's now lost beneath the waves. Let's dive into what happened to this ancient land and what we've learned from it. What was Sahul? Around 70,000 years ago, during the last ice age, there was a massive landmass called Sahul. This ancient supercontinent was located in the southwestern Pacific Ocean and connected what we now know as Australia, New Guinea, Tasmania, and the Aru Islands into one giant landmass. Imagine a world of lush tropical rainforests surrounded by stunning mountains. In the New Guinea highlands, peaks soared over 13,000 feet, making it a dramatic and beautiful landscape. Sahul was home to a variety of unique creatures, many of which had pouches. From the enormous Diprotodon, a giant prehistoric marsupial, to the formidable Thylacoleo, a powerful hunter, and the Megalania, a giant lizard much larger than any living reptile today, it was a land of strange and wonderful wildlife. The land and its people. Back then, the world was filled with placental mammals like wolves and elephants, but Sahul was different. Its only placental mammals were bats and rodents. Meanwhile, the vast majority of Sahul's animals were marsupials, including some impressive megafauna. During this time, people were on the move across the globe. Between 60,000 and 45,000 years ago, they made an incredible journey from Southeast Asia to Sahul. They traveled on foot and by sea using bamboo rafts and simple boats. They came from an ancient landmass called Sunda, which covered parts of Southeast Asia. They crossed a series of islands known as Wallacea and eventually spread across Sahul, settling in what we now call Australia. Sahul was huge, about 4.1 million square miles, larger than the United States or Canada. It stretched from the equator to the southern tip of New Zealand. Researchers estimate that it had a population of around 500,000 people. Uncovering the past. Scientists have discovered ancient cave paintings from around 40,000 years ago that depict a hunting scene with humans and an anoa, a type of miniature buffalo. To learn more about how these early settlers lived, researchers have created landscape evolution models to simulate how Sahul changed from 75,000 to 35,000 years ago. These models help them uncover potential migration routes and archaeological sites. How did Sahul submerge? So what happened to Sahul? During the Ice Age, much of the Earth's water was trapped in massive ice sheets, so sea levels were much lower than they are today. As global temperatures warmed, the ice sheets melted, causing sea levels to rise and gradually flood the land bridges that once connected Sahul's different regions. Around 8,000 years ago, New Guinea became separated from mainland Australia, and about 6,000 years ago, Tasmania followed suit. Today, we can explore the underwater remnants of Sahul thanks to modern technology. Divers collect samples from the ocean floor, underwater drones explore deep or dangerous areas, and sonar mapping creates detailed maps of the seafloor. Sahul's underwater relatives. But Sahul isn't the only hidden continent under the sea. For example, there's Sundaland, which was once a vast landmass covering Sumatra, Java, Borneo, and other islands. Even though most of Sundaland is now submerged, the parts above water are rich in life, home to almost 1/5 of the world's bird species and 1/4 of Earth's fish species. Zealandia, another lost continent. Another fascinating underwater landmass is Zealandia, a nearly sunken continent about half the size of Australia. It split from Antarctica around 100 million years ago, and today, just 7% of it remains above sea level, as New Zealand and a few smaller islands. This part of Zealandia features beautiful natural wonders like volcanoes, mountain ranges, and hot springs. Locals even use these hot springs for cooking. Aroland, the lost landmass. Then there's Aroland, a mysterious landmass that was part of Australia millions of years ago. It drifted north and eventually disappeared into the Sunda Trench, leaving only traces of its existence on the ancient seafloor. Greater Adria, a long-lost continent. Another intriguing find is Greater Adria, a continent that began breaking away from the supercontinent Gondwana about 240 million years ago. It eventually collided with Europe, breaking into pieces that are now scattered across over 30 countries. The Seychelles, a hidden gem. Finally, there's the Seychelles, sitting atop a fragment of the ancient continent Gondwana. These islands are famous for their granite outcrops and unique species, both on land and in the coral reefs. The search for more lost continents. These discoveries show us that the Earth hides many secrets beneath the waves. Who knows what other lost continents and ancient lands await our exploration? That's all for today. If you enjoyed learning about these hidden worlds, give this video a thumbs up and share it with your friends.